So, welcome you all and online people as well to the first ever class on PSIR. What exactly is your expectation from PSIR firstly? You tell me. Why are you in this phase of thinking to join or have you joined already? Joined. Thinking.
Yes.
Okay. What made you join PSIR, sir? Tell me.
So first is quality part,
Hmm.
which I really meant to do classes. I got it.
So, overlap, GS overlap. What is your interest in PSIR, sir?
Actually, I did my bachelor's in political science
Okay.
and doing my master's in public administration.
The master's in PubAd.
Yes.
Why not PubAd?
I like political science.
Online people, can we also contribute? Uh, of course, that one point you guys have made is actually true. When it comes to GS overlap, there is without any doubt a very comprehensive overlap. I have given you a syllabus copy. What we'll do is we'll stick this in our notes. So as I was saying, the idea is that there is of course a huge syllabus overlap when it comes to your GS papers, and that's I think good thing because once you cover PSIR, the real advantage is scoring anywhere close to, let's say, 120 plus in GS paper 2 is very common. In fact, most people who score 120 plus in GS paper 2 have PSIR as an optional. That is something that is very much clear. Beyond that, once we see the syllabus, we'll also get to understand it is not just paper 2, but it has a slightly wider ramification on other subjects also. For example, Indian society in paper 1, social issues in paper 1. Then it has some parts of economics as well, some information on conventions, the ecological conventions that we have in paper 3. Of course, it has great effect in paper 4 as well. Governance part, of course, not as good as PubAd. PubAd has a direct impact on governance. But since you know governance as a part of PSIR, it also helps you in paper 4, essay paper as well, because you know thinkers. And an interesting point is there are a lot of these concepts you'll be covering, like see equality, justice, rights, democracy. And the fact is that these are such simple concepts with such wide meaning. I mean, we know equality as very basic equality, or justice is very simple justice, right? A fair and moral treatment of everyone is justice. But that is not justice only. Justice can be in various forms and manner. Debates on reservation, debates on rights, various types of rights, the first generation rights to right now we have moved to the fourth generation rights. Something as simple as affirmative action. So, of course, in slightly more detail. So, when you study these topics, you have a way better assessment. Oh, प्रिंट आउट शीट नहीं है क्या? ठीक है, ओके, वो कराने का, वो बोलना करने का. So just to open the syllabus now, I have a printout sheet. So once you get that, please leave the first page blank in your notes. We'll stick that in our notes only, okay? But right now, so as you can see in your syllabus, please come to it. Paper 1, Political Theory and Indian Politics. So you can forget 1 and 2. Of course, they are highly theoretical topics. Justice, can you see the word justice there? Equality, rights, democracy. These 4 have a direct impact on your overall essay and ethics paper, and here and there as well. Then again, 8.1, political ideologies, a very high yielding topic in today's day and age, where you study about ideologies. What exactly is liberalism? When you use the word socialism, what is socialism? When you say that this government is fascist, have you heard this allegation that the current central government is a fascist government? Right? There's fascism across the country. I mean, you cannot simply use this term so loosely. Of course, politicians will casually use it, but we need to understand what exactly is fascism. So there you see fascism, Gandhism, feminism. These are ideologies that you have to understand. And then Indian political thought, be it Dharma Shastra, Kautilya's Arth Shastra, the Buddhist tradition, Sir Fat, Sayyid Ahmad Khan, Aurobindo, very nationalist right-wing thinker, Gandhiji, Ambedkar, and M.N. Roy. So nice idea of all these thinkers, what they thought, what their views were, again can be used widely in the entire paper. And Western political thought like Plato, Aristotle, widely used. Hobbes, Locke, Mills and all primarily in the PSIR syllabus only. Second one, that is Indian government and politics. This is all about your GS paper. This is your GS paper syllabus only. If you look at it, Indian nationalism, history, political strategies of India's freedom struggle, constitutionalism to mass satyagraha, NCM, CDM, militant revolutionary movements, peasant movements, worker movements, all history. Second also, perspective on INM, Indian National Movement. So when you understand the political ideologies in the section A, meaning liberalism, socialism, what was the perspective of liberalism on Indian national movement? What was the perspective of Marxists on Indian national movement? See, Indian national movement for us is a movement of independence, but not everybody views it as simple independence struggle. Some people view it as a fight between the rich versus poor. Some view it as a fight between the haves and have-nots. Some view it as a fight to get rights and equality. Some view it as a fight to ensure welfare. So everybody has a different perspective on nationalism. There is a Dalit perspective also, if you see. So a lot of people believe that this fight for freedom struggle, this freedom struggle was simply a fight between the elites of India and Britishers. Because what happened, according to these people, is that the elites of India were replaced by Britishers. So these elites were losing out on power. What they wanted was to recapture the power. So the freedom struggle is all about recapturing power, transferring power from Britishers to elite of our country. So Dalits don't view this as their fight. They were used everywhere. That's what they feel. How true this is, we'll discuss later on. But they feel that they were just used at every point of time. Then comes your entire polity syllabus. It starts from making of the Indian Constitution, legacies of British rule, different social and political perspectives, then your salient features of Indian Constitution, the preamble, FRs, duties and all that, DPSP, amendment procedure, review, basic structure. Then you have the number 4 also same thing, principal organs of the government, principal organs of state government. Fifth one, grassroots democracy, Panchayati Raj, etc. We will be covering all this in polity as well. Then your statutory institutions. In fact, we'll be covering some in polity, some in governance, like say CAG is a part of governance, UPSC is a part of governance, then NCW, NHRC part of governance, etc. Then again, federalism, direct polity topic. So 3, 2, not too much, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are completely polity, somewhat governance, but polity. Then 8th becomes again slightly, the economic aspect. So we have planning and economic development, Nehruvian planning, Gandhian perspective on planning, public sector, green revolution, land reforms, liberalization, economic reforms. Then we are back to some Indian society concept of paper 1, that is caste, religion and ethnicity in Indian politics. Of course, from the political perspective, we don't need to understand how caste system came up, etc. A brief idea on that, but largely what is the role of caste, role of religion, role of ethnicity in Indian politics. Then this is again a governance-based topic, party system, types of parties, their social base, their pattern, everything to be covered here. And pressure groups. Pressure groups is a solid government topic or governance topic. So that's there. Patterns of coalition politics, pressure groups, trends in electoral behavior, changing socio-economic profile of legislators. And lastly, social movements, civil liberties, human rights movements, women's movements, environmentalist movements, again a part of governance only. So yes, as far as Indian government and politics is concerned, this is a mix of your polity, a bit of history, and primarily that is it, governance. I mean, there are a couple of topics on economics and Indian society. Let's not call it too much of overlap also, right? So that is about it for paper 1. Let's limit ourselves to paper 1 itself for now. Once we move on to paper 2, then we'll discuss about paper 2, because paper 2 has slightly different approach. It talks about comparative politics and then comes IR. Okay. That is all as far as paper 1 is concerned. Important to understand. So over the course of next few days, what you can do is just, it is not full. Over the course of next few days, what you can do is just go through the syllabus. So as we know, before you, let's say, revise on the notes that we write, just go through the syllabus. Now, let's come to paper 1. The first topic is political theory. So we'll start by understanding topic number 7 a bit, that is concept of power, briefly. And then we'll come to political theory. And I'll also today itself give you a rough idea on political ideologies, because when I use socialism or liberalism, I would want you to at least understand what it briefly means. Right? That is there. So let's begin our discussion. You also have the PYQ sheet with you. So we have mentioned all the possible PYQs that are available that have come in the exam from 2025 to 2030. Okay. So this is all section A PYQs. So as and when the time comes, we'll keep on addressing those PYQs as well. I'll mention the PYQ number and all with the topic. Okay. So you can make a note of it. So in your notes, the note should be margin on one side, leave space. Because then it can help you understand in future or add more things in future. So when you make notes, this is your sheet of paper, one side margin, keep it blank. Even if you don't write something right now, when you revise and all, you can do a bit of research, dig deep, and maybe add some more points there. So don't feel it is a wastage of pages. This is what we feel sometimes. We want to write it from the maximum perspective, right from here till here, but let's avoid that. Okay. Please.
Sir, what will be our approach to this course? Like how we are going to approach this course? Like after finishing a topic, what are we going to do?
So this is the syllabus that we have and the PYQ. So what we'll do is we follow a simple structure. Monday to Friday we'll have a class.
Yes.
On Saturday we'll write some answers. That has been the style. In fact, the last batch students might also join you off and on when they want to practice answers. I would avoid any comparison with them. They have studied the entire topics. They might be at a different level, so please don't compare. So initially, we won't jump into writing answers. Once we study a topic, I would expect you to write the topic in your own words, briefly, 50 words, 100 words, etc. Once we get a hang of how to present our points, then we'll jump on to the answers also. In the class, whenever the PYQ comes, I'll explain roughly the structure for it, and that should be sufficient. Because if I give you a model answer of sorts, the model answer of sorts, it I think limits students that okay, this is some, because there's no perfect answer. I have my own limitations because I've been teaching for a long period of time, so I have my own limitations of what exactly could be a good answer. Sometimes students do write very interesting, innovative answers, so you are free to write. I'll give a broad structure of what is to be expected. So ultimately, when you read these notes, the focus should be on being able to present your idea. No need to read any books as of now. In case it is required, I'll let you know that okay, specific chapters can be read from specific books, but right now not required at all. The only condition is mug up as much as possible. The note should be mugged up. That is the idea, premise. So Monday, Friday classes. So initially the first week, we will have only 1.5 hours of classes. And then from the next week onward, we'll have 2.5 hours of classes. I hope that will be okay without any break. So we'll have a stretch 2.5 because if I take a 3-hour class break in between, it just wastes time uselessly. So class time 5:30 to 8. This time 5:30 to 7. First week now. We are building on basic ideas. And Monday to Friday classes, Saturday we'll have a answer writing practice. So feel free to write answers, express yourself, that's the idea. And as far as paper 1 section A is concerned, most of it will be in written form only. You'll have to write a lot, that's the idea. Yes, in IR, I'll give you handouts and all, especially if, let's say a topic like World Bank or a topic like IMF. A lot of things are just factual information, right? So those handouts, wherever analysis is required, we need to write it on our own. But right now, it's all writing. Okay. The rough estimate is going to be around 350 hours to 400 hours, anywhere between these two. this zone. So for online people also, not been shared in the group yet. Okay, Rohi, let me just text them. Yes, to summarize once again, the entire course duration is going to be from 350 to 400 hours. This is our estimate. Anyway, between this only. It won't cross it at any cost. Now, how many months will it take to cover? Hopefully around 5 months. In under 5 months, we'll be covering this. Because a lot depends on how many holidays we have, something goes wrong, etc. Right? This is life. I can't also promise nothing will go wrong with me as well. But because the September batch stretches a bit too much, because in September batch we have your Diwali and you have your what is that festival? Dashera, New Year, Christmas, Pongal. So a lot of holidays. Hey, we don't have too many holidays. So I think this should be a sufficient time. This is of importance. This depends on this only. Okay. Monday to Friday, we have the class. Timing is 5:30 to 8. Of course, other optional students, you might see them coming at 6, so don't worry. Extra half an hour for you. And Saturday will be devoted to answer writing. Your primary focus now is to do two things: build a sense of understanding and then implement this understanding in writing answers. Okay. We won't waste too much of time into building on to answer writing. The first week or second week, I'll be quite liberal in letting you explore and writing paragraphs. But I would expect that after 2 weeks, we would need to be in a situation of writing answers, okay, properly. So I will explain all the PYQs that have come in the exam. That is my headache. Don't worry on that. And after 2 weeks, we'll also be doing a simple exercise of 1 question per day in the class. Towards the end, I'll dictate a question and I'll explain the brief idea and what to write. You can write your answers. You can get them related also from here later on with me as well. And we won't have a test in the first month, not required. No need to panic on a test. What is more important is knowing how to write the answer first. So this is what is going to be the structure we follow. Clear? As of now, no books are required. Focus on the notes itself. Please mug up the notes. That is the idea. Clear? Okay. Any issue or concern now?
So we do quality in JSN here. Should there be a different approach here?
Approach, not so much. In fact, for the polity type questions, the approach is exactly the same. In fact, we need to have a bit more data, meaning some more points, maybe adding quotes from scholars, giving a perspective. Of political science, meaning maybe you can use a thinker to point out something. Maybe we can use the concept of some ideology. If I'm writing about an answer on Panchayati Raj system and I talk about the problems of Panchayati Raj system, I'm sure you're all aware that at the grassroots level, even now, the villages are primarily controlled by the triad of what we call caste, class, and gender, right? This is a triad which controls the rural environment in our country. At least the social environment in rural areas are controlled by this triad only. Now, my point is, wherever there is a class divide or a class war as such, Marxism, have you heard of this term?
Yes.
Marxism can be used. So a polity student will write this. You will write the Marxist ideology. Okay. Gender. Of course, gender issues. You will use the feminist perspective. So, it is no longer just patriarchy, it's deep-seated feminism or feminist perspective that needs to be put into picture or perspective. You have to deep-seat the feminist perspective, replace patriarchy with feminism. So, this is what needs to be used here in your answers. That's how you differentiate your answer of PS from polity. Now, there is a slight misconception that we should avoid using these terms in our GS papers. That is a complete misconception. It is not true at all. Feel free to use as many GS concepts, as many PSIR concepts as possible in your GS paper. Are we clear? Please don't feel that, no, we should not be using quotes and all. The problem for your GS paper is going to be, when you use all these perspectives, the real challenge is what? Word limit in GS. That becomes a problem. It is not a problem to use these concepts. So feel free. But yes, a GS answer will largely have more data and wider linkage. Linkage to various aspects. A political science answer has to have a political depth to it. That difference has to be there. Okay. So that is what is a skill that you acquire slowly and steadily. Okay. That's how we differentiate the answer. Clear? Okay. Any other thing?
In PSIR also, the introduction and conclusion, we need to mandatorily have a thinker.
What is mandatory? Nothing is mandatory. But we would love to have two things: quotes and perspectives of thinkers. As much as we can incorporate is my idea. So try to incorporate. So I will give you quotes. I'll give you thinkers. The whole point is how much can you mug up, right? So let's not force it also. And what we'll do is we'll have a list of quotes in our answers in our classes, and we'll focus on remembering those quotes only. So keep on using the same kind of quotes in your answer writing practice also. Why? Because maybe you are repeating your quotes here in the class, but in the exam there's only one question on that. The evaluator has no idea that you have used this quote 20 times in the last 10 days. He sees it as the first time only, right? That is the idea. So feel free to have a small bank of quotes with you and thinkers and try using them in multiple places. That is practice. Okay. We do the same thing for GS also. You have a ready-made introductions and conclusions for certain topics. Like say in polity, we all know that you will have a question on center-state relation. You will have a question on local self-government. So we need to prepare steady and ready introduction plus quote for these. A standard quote that can work anywhere. Pick up Gandhiji's quote and mug it up. Because in the exam you only have one question on local self-government. That's it. This is the idea. Yes, we should try to incorporate these in our answers. A unique perspective is required. Okay. So that is why even if you don't add these, it might impact you in your paper 1, and that is it. Paper 1 section A primarily. Paper 2 and paper 1 section B might not have that much of impact, but yes, paper 1 will have some impact. So it's better to always add quotes and thinkers. Yes, those who came late, we have missed nothing, don't worry. We were just discussing on what was the reason for you guys choosing PSIR. What was the reason for choosing PSIR? I had asked other people. Yes, sir. Any reason for thinking about PSIR, if not chosen right now? GS overlap. GS overlap. You, sir, what is the reason? Same.
I'm just looking why I haven't fixed anything, but I just.
So, what all things are there in your mind?
Geography PSI.
Oh, quite opposed, huh?
Public administration PSIR.
Oh, PubAd and PSIR. Please choose something else, not PubAd. I would advise. The days of PubAd are gone. I used to teach PubAd as well earlier. So PubAd is a very challenging optional actually. I think we have a PubAd MA graduate as well, who's PG student as well. PubAd is a very challenging optional. They were glorious days of PubAd actually. till 2012, PubAd was the most popular option. There was no optional closer to PubAd. That's how easy it was. I think with a lot of research being done on public administration, and especially research in IIMs, paper setting came to IIMs. So IIMs set the paper for PubAd. I think the quality changed drastically. And that's the reason why you see, of course, there's a topper in 2019, I think, from PubAd. That is there, that's true. But normally it is not the case. Yes, I think GS overlap is a concern, is something that is, I think, the biggest selling point for this subject. That's why this is the most popular subject, despite being slightly longer than your other popular subjects. So we have top 4 subjects: PSIR, Anthro, Socio, and Geography. Other syllabuses, at least Socio and Anthro, are smaller than PSIR, but again, GS overlap. So this was the rough idea. We'll have around this entire syllabus in under 400 hours, 5 months roughly. And Monday, Friday class, Saturday is the answer writing day. We'll just write answers. That's about it. Class timing is from 5:30 to 8, not the first week. First week is 5:30 to 7 only. Just chill and relax for the first 1 week. Any other doubts now that you have before we begin? No doubts? Okay. My first question to you is, have you, please leave the first page blank, those who have decided, because you have to stick the syllabus on the first page. Okay. Have you ever felt powerless in any situation in your life? Powerless or powerful? Please share your experience. Why powerless? When and why? What was the situation, sir?
Actually, during my college days, I was for the common people, like the only.
And you had no way out on forcing him to work.
Actually, I am very much against this corruption, but I was in a situation that if I don't give, my work will be done.
Not done, definitely. Like, we pay for our passport, right? There is no rule, but it's an unsaid rule that when the policeman comes for verification of your address for passport, you have to give him some kind of sweets, 500 rupees, etc. Anybody else who has felt powerless in certain situation? Yes, sir.
Recently, we are contesting elections as elections.
Sarpanch, which place? Andhra or Telangana? Okay.
Telangana.
Sure, sir. Okay, Telangana.
But we did not have money to distribute.
That was lack of financial wealth to distribute. What was the rate in your area? 2000. Depends.
Some, if one day is bigger, we need to give more.
How much more?
Charges less. If they confirm to us, we have to add some more.
Like 3,000-4,000 per vote? That is too much, I think. Really? Possible. I don't know. I have heard the situations where people are taking 3,000-4,000 rupees per vote also.
Actually,
Cars are being sent.
Yes, they gave 60,000 per person.
No. How is it?
I witnessed.
60,000.
16.
16
per one.
per vote.
Yes.
Oh, that is too much of ego.
My
Oh.
uncles, they got money.
16,000. We should shift to that area immediately for a month before election and then enjoy. Okay. Anybody who has ever felt powerful so far in life? I mean, if you have not felt powerful, you will after clearing the exam, definitely. You have to share something, sir. Tell me.
Actually, I have lost my 5 lakhs rupees. I believe in my friend and all. Without proof, I have given 5.
So we have all had our experiences of feeling powerless. In our homes, we feel powerless on a daily basis, right? So that's there. In fact, that's the interesting point of politics. Politics is all about the study of power only. This is what you're going to study. The entire subject is built around the understanding of who holds power, how they obtain power, right? How they got it. In fact, not just that, what they do with power. And one very important point, whether the person holding power should have it in the first place or not. Okay, legitimacy is important. Okay. So, in the simplest of words, power is the ability to get things done, especially when other person might resist. That is power. When somebody is doing something willingly, there is no power required. But when you are not willing to come and study, and your parents have sent you here, they have power over you, right? The resistance is important for power. Just write this small point there. Heading is power, and write power is the ability. Power is the ability to get things done. To get things done, especially when others might resist. Okay. So the idea is that if you can make somebody do something they otherwise would not do, you have power over them. So there are three important elements. One is, of course, influence, second is control, and third is decision making. So just write these three words. Influence, control, and decision making. Key ingredients of power. Each of these. Exercising influence over someone. Just these three words. Write these three words and these are the ingredients. Done? Okay, a couple of standard definitions by some very famous thinkers. So change of paragraph and write a quote. Right. Power is the probability. Power is the probability. Power is the probability that one actor within a social relationship will be in a position to carry out their own will despite resistance. Give a dash. Right? Max Weber. One more important point, please understand, when you write these quotes in your notes, I would prefer you have a highlighter same day in the class, or go home and highlight those quotes so you can easily spot them when you are revising. That is important. One more important line, please write change of paragraph and write Max Weber, W-E-B-E-R. There is a very popular French philosopher, and you'll hear this name a lot. Michel Foucault. Actually, the pronunciation is slightly different. Michael Foucault. Okay, write this statement first. Power is not just held. Power is not just held, comma, it is exercised. It is exercised through discourse. It is exercised. Sorry. Oh, it is exercised through discourse, comma, institutions and knowledge. M. Foucault, but pronounced as Foucault. Michel Foucault. Michel. Michel Foucault. Please read and tell me what is meant by exercising power through discourse. Discourse meaning discussion. How do we exercise power through discussion? How do we exercise power through, or how do we exercise power through institution? Parliament. Have we been able to institutionalize power? That's a statement. My point is, when it comes to power, power can be of various types. I'll give you a simple example. Well-behaved in class, right? What is the idea of being well-behaved in your school days? Dress code was nice, nails were cut, hair in the silliest fashion possible, right? With complete side parting and all, full of oil, right? Not talking in the class. But, and this is how power is exercised, by making you disciplined, by ingraining discipline in you, so that in future you will follow the same kind of idea. You will not be resistant towards authority, right? That's the idea. We have power through discourse also. Gender roles. There is a way in which women should behave, right? That's how we talk. Oh, this woman's behavior is not nice because she roams around at night after 9. Language is being used. Especially when people come out from small cities and go to bigger cities. There's a phrase in Hindi, I'm not sure what they use in Telugu. Haath se nikal gaya. This fellow has crossed all boundaries. So we tend to have a set pattern of behavior. If you break that mold, then you are chastised for it. You are questioned for it. That's also a way to exercise power. In fact, Foucault is an expert at explaining this idea that power is exercised through various means possible. It is not the simplest way of beating somebody, right? There are other ways also. So that is Michel Foucault for you. Please remember this name. We'll look at this fellow time and again. Okay. So as I said, there are various types of power. Write a small subheading below. Types of power. A small in a table format. Types. So first column is the type or the category. Second column is the meaning, a larger column, and third would be a smaller column of example. 20% page, 60% page, 20% page. Okay. First, the simplest form of power that you know and we all understand. Yes. Coercive. That's what we understand is power. What is coercion? Based on what? Force. This is based on force. So coercive power means based on force. In fact, this is the simplest way to feel powerful. So force, possibly you can use the word threat also. Example, any kind of police or military action is what? It's coercive power only. That's why we are afraid of police. They can use force. They have the legitimate right to use force. We can't. The police catches you, the police constable, and he slaps you uselessly. Can you slap him back? You cannot actually. Whatever you do, don't slap him back. It cannot be taken to court. When you slap a law enforcement actor, no law will side with you, whatever the situation, until unless things are recorded, which is not possible. That's how the system is. Coercive power. Then, one more power is legitimate power. Legitimate. What makes power legitimate? For example, district collector, powerful. Why? Because that fellow is holding a position or based on law. So this is based on law or position. Like PM, Prime Minister or District Magistrate. Both are holding legitimate power, right? Because of course we have to always follow what? Their authority, because they are holding the rightful authority. Then one more way to exercise power is reward based. Reward. You can exercise power by rewarding people based on giving benefits. Based on giving benefits. Your boss has power over you in workplace. Why? Because he controls what? Promotions, right? Possibly they can control your salary also. So this is a reward-based power. If you can be a sycophant of the boss, you might get some better reward, right? Then, expert power. Some people have power because they might have knowledge over something. Doctor? I mean, he's exercising power because he has technical knowledge. Possibly a judge, maybe an economist, right? Of course, we all have our AI and Google and we can search for any kind of symptom, but nothing beats a doctor's verification. And if you search for anything on Google, it ends up in cancer only. Have you tried doing this? Please do it. It has the extreme effect of cancer. Everything is cancerous as per ChatGPT and Google. And then you need operation and surgery. If it is invasive in nature, ChatGPT cannot tell you to conduct operation. It can teach you steps to be taken. You can't do it. Power is based on expertise. Okay. One more thing. There is a power that people enjoy based on appeal, based on charisma. That is called referent power. Like Gandhiji had power. Which power? Coercive? Or he was against fighting actually. Legitimate? Not really. He was not holding any authority. Reward? What reward would he give to people? Expert? He was expert at nothing, frankly. I mean, not to say that he was bad, but that's how it was. But referent power. This is based on charisma. Or maybe moral appeal. So, sometimes leaders, Gandhiji, Nelson Mandela, celebrities, film stars, they have referent power. Their power is based on charisma. You know how AIADMK was formed by MGR? When MGR and Karunanidhi, who were friends, they had a fallout. Overnight, MGR activated all his fan clubs. So in Tamil Nadu, you have these fan club concepts. And I'm sure here also you have fan clubs. So they have a fan club concept. Overnight, all the fan clubs in villages, they became AIADMK party workers. That's how the party started. AIADMK, the same party of Jayalalitha. Later on, she was given the leading role in the party. So yes, that's also a way to acquire power. Leaders do have power, celebs do have power. In your state itself, NTR contested elections, right? And the current CM of the neighboring state. How did he come into politics? How did he become CM? Naiduji. Through marriage? No. He married in the right family. So his power has come through matrimonial alliance. The famous son-in-law. So most parties are based on dynastic politics. So either you marry into a party or you simply start a party of your own. Anyway, so that is why we say power is more like electricity. You can't actually see it, but it lights up everything. And if you misuse it, you might get a shock also, which we seldom get in our country, sadly. That's also there. Now, we have a separate topic number 7 under our syllabus of power. But in political science, power is viewed in a very different angle. In political science, power is viewed through certain questions, meaning who has power, how is it being used, how is it being legitimized, and how is it being resisted. For example, who has power? Simple question. In political science, the answer to it is distribution of power. Basically, in our country, we have to identify who controls the decisions and what are the sources. For example, when I say who has power, what would your answer be in our country? Who has power? Parliament, government, judiciary, bureaucracy, people like you in future, corporates, power. Second question, how is it being used? So how are all these people who have power exercising power? By making laws, possibly policies, maybe subsidies, welfare, sometimes arrests under UPA. You know UPA? Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967, dangerous law. Conviction rate under UPA is 2%. 2.2% is the conviction rate under UPA. Meaning of all the arrests made so far, only 2% have been found guilty by the court. Okay, 98% wrong arrests. The law remains. Effective use of law to harass people. That's power. So we are using power to give justice also. The same police might be working to arrest the culprits as well, which is rare, but might happen. And the same police is also using power for its own advantage. Now comes the third question. How is this power being legitimized? Meaning, is there a justification for these people holding power? What is the justification? Why is Modi ji holding power? Is it justified? How? He has won the election. People's vote. That's it. You can keep on crying vote chori. There's no proof of it. I mean, till now, there is no visible proof of any tampering with EVMs ever. So I think vote chori is just a sad loser, sadly. What about the police officers? How are they holding power? Through laws, right? Through the constitution. It allows them to use power. So yes, power has been legitimized by these people because our rules, etc., are all allowing them to hold power. And the fourth question is, how is power being resisted? Meaning, what are we doing to challenge power? Tell me, how can power be challenged? Through court cases. Fair, possible. Court cases, a typical kind of court case that is called what? Where any person can file a case in the court even if he is not directly PILs. Have you heard of PILs? Public interest litigation. The whole idea of PIL is what? So earlier what used to happen was, if I am not directly impacted, I can't file a case in court. That is called locus standi. Locus standi, only affected person can go to court. But in 1970s and 80s, court realized it is not possible. What if you are the person suffering, you have no resources, no knowledge, etc. Then what? Somebody else should be allowed to approach court on your behalf. Hence came the concept of PIL. So yes, PIL. What else? when the government, through its legitimacy, brought the farm bills. Remember farm bills?
Yes.
Few years back? It brought farm bills, but it got it passed also. 3 bills. But then it had to take those bills back. Why? Protests. Protest is also one way to resist power. Okay? You might have legitimacy, but people can protest. And we have seen examples of how through protests, people have forced governments into rolling back. So if you do not know, around 6 years back, the government did plan to bring 3 farm bills. They were made into farm laws. Actually, they were pretty decent laws to help support the small farmers, especially. A link was provided between the small farmer and the corporates. Corporates could purchase the commodities directly, etc. But the large farmers became upset at this, because normally in a village, especially in the northwestern part of our country, the large farmers had an advantage that they would purchase from the small farmer at lower prices, and because they had the resources to take that produce to the mandis, the APMCs and all, they had bigger vehicles, etc. A small farmer, it is not cost effective to take your small produce to the mandi. It is costlier in transportation. So large farmers would purchase and they could sell it at a higher price. But if the corporates were allowed to directly procure from the small farmer, it would directly hurt the large farmer. That is also one problem. But that is not our concern. The concern is the government made some laws, tried to implement it, protests started, dharnas, blockade across the western part, Punjab, Haryana and Delhi, forcing the government to roll back, take back the laws. Official announcement was made by Narendra Modi ji that we are taking back the farm laws. Clear? That is one way to, resist power. Okay. So in political science, the angle of power is slightly different. So please remember all these things when we come back to this point in future about legitimacy, authority and power. Okay. So just change of paragraph and write this. In political science, power is often analyzed in political science, power is often analyzed through number 1, who has it, number 2, how is it used? How is it used? Number 3, how is it legitimized? How is it legitimized? And 4th, how is it resisted? How is it resisted? Okay, 4 aspects. Once you get to understand this, then we can have debates on authority, sovereignty, hegemony. Have you heard of this word, hegemony? A very interesting word. Hegemony. Have you? Hegemony? Yes? Control. Hegemony actually means dominance. But why are we using a different word for it? The beauty of hegemony is that one group dominates over the other group, and that dominance is not enforced. It is accepted. That is what is hegemony. Okay. There are various tools to ensure this. You have to push for the idea that one way of life is better than the other way of life. Right? Like US. US uses Of course, hard power, but soft power also to spread its hegemony. How? Through movies. No? You are saying something?
Loans.
Loans, USA rarely gives loans directly, but through IMF and all, of course. But very simple, soft power through movies. Have you seen the Hollywood cinema? It's everywhere. In every Hollywood cinema where the world is going to an end, who saves the world? US. That is why China has its own counter. If you see the Chinese movies which are based on this idea of wars, etc., they'll always showcase this, that China is saving the world. Exact opposite of what USA does. Any kind of issue that China sees USA as its competitor, right? China does not view India as a competitor. Yes, we're all nationalists, that's a great thing, but let's be real also. The gap is too wide between us and China right now. The gap is so wide that Pakistan thinks of us as our competitor. That's the worst thing to be. That Pakistan thinks of us as their competitor. We have bad days completely. Of course, we are not their competitors, but that is the difference. So this is a way to exercise hegemony, right? How in our country, of course, how many of you are from Andhra Pradesh? Oh, all Telangana people. Oh, great. Okay. So I mean, maybe in your state also it was the same state after all. I have noticed this culture and there is data to support it. This culture to go to foreign countries for graduation and after graduation, this obsession, right? And I think that's the metric of success, right? The metric of success in our country is to leave the country. So you leave USA for a better life because that is the idea instilled in our mind through soft hegemony, that's a better way of life. So you leave your peaceful village life and go to the urban areas and live in a 1 BHK with 20 people inside, because in the evening you can go out and drink in a pub and meet some celebs. That's the hegemony. That's a beautiful part of it. So power also will be discussed in future through hegemony. In fact, not only in the section A, but section B as well, paper 2 as well, you will understand again how countries use hard power and soft power and how India uses mixed power. Now, India is not in that phase right now, sadly. India is more in the soft power zone right now. So we use soft power through what? Yoga, right? Culture. So we are spreading yoga everywhere. We are telling people to perform yoga. Soft power. Diaspora everywhere. USA uses mixed power. Soft power also, hard power also. See, imagine India, can India even think of capturing Shahbaz Sharif from Pakistan? USA did capture Venezuelan head, right? India cannot think of it. And no country can think of it actually except USA. And no questions are being raised. The world is in a turmoil because of one country, USA right now. Of course, Israel as well. And nobody is questioning. They're all, okay, no problem. Ignoring it. That's the beauty of hard power. But anyway, so more discussion on this later on. Before we move on to understanding political theory and all, that's your first part. A small brief on certain ideologies. I wanted to give this in the very first class because when I use these terms, you will not be confused as to what the hell is this. Very brief. We'll discuss all this in detail later on. So you tell me, when I say the word liberalism, what do you mean by this? Let's see how much you know or understand. You have heard this word a lot. Liberal views, liberal values. If I ask you what kind of views you hold, you say liberal views, sir. What is meant by liberalism? When I say somebody is liberal or believes in liberal values, what is liberalism for you?
Zero restrictions.
Zero restrictions. That's a dangerous choice of words. Minimum restrictions. Fair. That's better. We can't have zero restrictions. Absolute freedom is a myth.
Freedom to individual to use life as life.
Okay, freedom. Any other idea of liberalism? That is what it means actually. Individual freedom. If you are a follower of liberalism, you will always prefer individual freedom over anything else. Okay? State cannot interfere in your individual space. This is a concept of liberalism. Are you clear? So when I use liberalism, please understand that we are treating individuals as more important than the state. State has restrictions. India is also following liberalism. Yes, to a certain extent, just to clarify. We do have fundamental rights. Yes. But are the rights in our country absolute in nature? You know what is absolute? Unlimited. They are not. We have restrictions. I mean, name a right and it has more restrictions than it gives us some right. For example, the freedom of speech and expression, very popular. Article 19(1)(a). If you look at the second clause of Article 19, clause 2, there are 8 types of restrictions. 2 words, speech and expression. 8 restrictions on this. You cannot use the speech and expression to affect the sovereignty integrity of India, to create any kind of animosity with friendly states, for causing defamation. Public order should not be hampered, should not create an issue of immorality, should not cause defamation. So you have so many issues with respect to freedom of speech. So India does not have that idea, but still in a partial sense we do have liberal values also, unlike in the West. So in USA, you can burn a flag as a mark of protest, just to clarify. In India, don't try this, please. You'll end up in jail. Okay? Possibly you might be killed in public only, right? That is possible, mob violence. But even after that, you will end up in jail. There's a special law for it, Prevention of Insults to National Honors Act 1971. So this is liberalism. That's point 1. Second is Marxism. Karl Marx. So people say for Marx that those who know Marx are fans of Marx, and those who read Marx hate Karl Marx. Most fans of Marx have not read Karl Marx actually. Karl Marx and his ideas are completely stupid and pathetic in nature, but still, let's ignore the personal issues with Karl Marx. What is Marxism, if we can think of it in simplest of terms?
Equality. Everyone is classless society.
Classless society. The idea that Marxism puts forward is this rich versus poor. That there is always going to be class conflict. Entire concept of politics is a struggle between classes. Every time. Rich versus poor. This struggle continues. In every society, there will always be a struggle between rich and poor, and Marxists believe that state always supports the rich. Okay? This is Marxism. Then we have socialism. What is socialism? Socialism means welfare. If your state tries to focus on reducing inequality, India, welfare. Which part of our constitution? How many of you have covered polity? Oh, except you, everybody has covered polity. Don't worry, you will be losing nothing at all. Which part of our constitution refers to welfare state? DPSP. We have UPSC question on this twice in the prelims. So, welfare state refers to the idea of what? When the state tries to promote the economic and social well-being of its people. That is what is welfare state. India is a welfare state. That is why all these freebies, subsidies, schemes, programs, you can't question freebies and subsidies. It is not that it is a new culture. It was started in 1960s in Tamil Nadu, right? With the freebie culture of Kamaraj and all. But yes, somebody who legitimized it was Kejriwal. I mean, Kejriwal may be out of politics in future. We don't know his future in politics. But the way he legitimized freebies, every party now distributes freebies. Every party, in every election. 3,000, 5,000, 2,000, once he come to power. And Rahul Gandhi is Rahul Gandhi. In the 2019 election, when he was contesting, he had promised that if Congress comes to power, they would start a scheme called Nyay scheme. 6,000 rupees per month to 80% Indians. 80% people getting 72,000 rupees per year. This is a joke only. How will you fund it? There's a concept of universal basic income. It is not meant for India. We have too many poor people and population is too large. And then of course we can have debates on lethargy and all. If you start getting free money, what is the incentive to work? Liquor sale will increase, definitely. In 24 elections, he increased the amount to 8,500 per month. That is 1 lakh rupees per year. How can you promise this amount? Because he knows very well he won't win the election anyway. So promise anything and run away from there. But this is a point, freebie culture. We can't question it because India is a welfare state. We have now electricity free and every party is doing it. This BJP used to claim we will not do welfare, we will not do freebie politics. They are doing it. Recently, Nitish Kumar from Bihar, a few years back, he had made this statement that giving free electricity means causing damage to the entire state. He had used the Hindi term, thappa baith jayega or bhatta baith jayega, something like this. That the entire state will collapse. Just a couple of weeks or days back, he made this statement that we are going to give free electricity. Change of stance. Freebie. Welfare. Why don't we tax farmers? Some farmers are poor, definitely. Not all farmers are poor. We can tax rich farmers. Not possible. We can't. If you want to win the election, please don't tax farmers. Anyone who thinks of taxing agricultural income will end up losing elections. Welfare idea, socialism. Okay. Now, is socialism good or bad? It's for you to decide. Later on, not right. Basic idea. Then feminism. What is feminism? We have heard too much of it right now on social media. Feminism to feminazi also. Right? So what is feminism? What do you feel is feminism?
Equal rights.
Feminists believe that, patriarchy or power operates through gender and it exists everywhere. Inequality is not just in public sphere, in private sphere also, right? And that's why there's a very famous phrase, we'll discuss it in detail. Personal is political. Have you heard of this phrase? The personal is political. It's a very famous phrase in political science. They had questioned UPSC on this also. Meaning, power is inside the family also. And that's also politics. Inside family is also, the roles are gender based. All the strong aspects of decision making, financial control are governed by men. Okay? So, politics or gender plays a role everywhere. So, feminism is a simple idea of gender power, equality of both genders. See, again, there is a small issue here. It can never be equality of both genders. It can only be equality of opportunity. And that is what is fair also. Nobody should be deprived or denied equality of opportunity. We cannot create equality. That is not possible. But we have to ensure equality of opportunity. In fact, the entire concept of reservation is based on this very idea. Okay. Then there is also a theory of or an ideology of conservatism. Okay. Of course, it comes from the word conservative and conservative politics. We have conservatives in UK, and we have the Republican Party in USA. Trump belongs to this party only. Okay. So what do you mean by conservatism? What do you think?
Opposite to change.
Okay, that's one element actually. Possibly opposed to change or very gradual change. So conservatism is the idea of emphasis on tradition. Okay, emphasis on values. Don't break things so fast. Let things exist as they are. Very slow changes. Conservatism. Then one more thing is communitarianism. What does that mean? Gandhiji believed in this only. The focus should be on community over individuals. What is more important? Community. Think about the community at large. Individuals are shaped by society. Society first, individuals later on. There's also a concept given by Foucault again called post-structuralism. Post-structuralism. So understand this basic idea. There is a concept of structure. Structure means what? Structure means how people behave, or how the system shapes our behavior. For example, family roles. Fathers are expected to behave in certain fashion, right? Mothers, as a child, you're expected to behave in a certain fashion. It is your responsibility to take care of your parents. Same, it is the responsibility of the mother to take care of the child. This is the structure. Caste system is a structure, right? Possibly language is a structure. Now there is a concept called structuralism. Structuralism simply means society runs on these fixed systems, meaning there are identities attached to you, there is a role given to you. You are a child. Let's assume somebody had a childhood trauma, father used to beat him on a daily basis, etc. Now they are grown up. The society expects you to take care of your parents. Yes or no? Whether they gave you a nice childhood or not, that does not matter, right? Structuralism. But what we are witnessing now is post-structuralism, meaning that the fixed hierarchy of caste does not exist. Language does not have fixed meaning now. Okay? Gender roles are not fixed. So post-structuralism says that nothing is fixed. It keeps on changing. Okay? This means the meaning is not fixed. Truth is not absolute. It's your truth versus somebody else's truth. That is what is called post-truth. Okay? And frankly, power also shapes what is normal and what is not. It's very important to understand. What you feel is normal may not be normal. To give you a simple example, around 500 years ago, homosexuality was seen as some kind of mental depravity. Right now it is normal. How we have changed our opinion. Doctors used to call it a disease. But now it's just a state of mind. In USA you can see gender. How many genders are there?
200
No limit. LGBTQ plus, IA plus. No, actually, we have primarily 3 genders only. Male, female and transgenders. Most other single letter alphabets there are not based on gender. They're based on sexual orientation, and that's a huge problem. When you say LGBTQIA+, LGB are all based on sexual orientation. It has got nothing to do with gender. Transgender is gender based, right? Same goes for I also, A also. It's all based on sexual orientation. But yes, we do have multiple genders now. Gender norms are changing. Okay. In fact, recently there was a transgender bill which was passed, and then there's a huge concern. We have modified the earlier idea of transgender. So earlier, how would you identify your gender? You could simply go and then whatever gender you claim you belong to would be acceptable. But now you have to get it medically verified. So some people are calling it an invasion on bodily privacy. But then if you want some extra rights, you'll have to also go through these measures, as simple as that. If I want some benefits from government, I'll have to show my Aadhaar card and showcase that I am bankrupt, I have no money. I can't have both ways. But anyway, this is how the concept of post-structuralism works. So we'll just write these quickly in one brief line so that we can just revise, and then later on in detail we'll be studying all this. Okay? So write a small heading. Ideologies. Ideologies. So we are not covering this right now, just to clarify. Okay? Number 1, liberalism. Liberalism dash individual freedom. Individual freedom, comma, individual freedom, comma, limiting state's power. Limiting state's power. Number 2, Marxism. Okay. Wait. We have a very interesting question. Rohit, sir, since liberalism emphasizes protection of individual rights, how do we reconcile 13.2, which protects fundamental rights, with 368, which allows Parliament to amend them? Actually, we did not need to reconcile. The courts reconciled for us. So primarily, I think the question talks about Article 13, Clause 2, which says that the state shall not make laws to take away fundamental rights, or Part 3 provisions. But the point is, Article 13, Clause 3 also defines what is the meaning of law. Right? This article says, for others here, that state cannot make a law which will abridge your fundamental rights. And if any law is made in contravention, that law is declared void, immediately cancelled, automatically. Some people claim that this is the idea of judicial review in our country. So, state cannot make what? A law which will take away our fundamental rights. In Article 13, Clause 3, they define what is meant by a law. And then they mention law means policy, law means rule, regulation, by laws, orders, ordinances, customs. They have not used the word amendment here. That is why amendments are allowed. And also to clarify, in the very famous basic structure judgment, have you heard of this? Case on Bharat in 1973. Supreme Court has said that fundamental rights are amendable. Of course they are. But the essence of FRs, that is not amendable. You cannot amend the underlying logic of having fundamental rights. That is why in 1978, we could remove what? Right to property as a fundamental right. Till 1978, we had a fundamental right to property. Article 19(1)F. Every citizen has a right to acquire, hold and dispose property. We removed it. Parliament removed it. And the court said, okay, no problem. Because the purpose was providing welfare. So rights can be amended. The essence of fundamental rights can't be amended. Anyway, let's not deviate too much. I hope the question is answered. Yes. What was I dictating? Marxism. Please write. Give a dash. Class struggle, comma. Class struggle, comma. State serves ruling class. State serves ruling class. Third, socialism dash reducing inequalities, comma, providing welfare. Reducing inequalities, providing welfare. Fourth, feminism. Feminism dash power operates through gender. Power operates through gender. Fifth, conservatism. Conservatism dash traditions, comma, stability, comma, gradual change. gradual change. Next, right? Communitarianism. Communitarianism. Dash. Community values over individualism. Community values over individualism. Done. And last one, post-structuralism. Spelling on board, post-structuralism. Right there. Power exists everywhere. Power exists everywhere. Dash. In language, comma, norms, comma, institutions, etc. Okay, just a small point. On one side, you can mention this idea. Structure means what? How people behave. A system. Structuralism. Structuralism, right below that, structuralism. Right? Structures are powerful and stable. Structures are powerful and stable. Is the point clear? Structure means what? How people behave. So how people behave is a stable way. How should a father behave? How should a mother behave? Is stable. It will be the same across generations. It should not change. It never changes. So your parents had the same issue with their parents that you have right now. They also had to respect them. You have to respect them. Your juniors will have to respect you. Don't worry. That is what these people believe in. That the structure of society always remains the same. But then comes what? Post-structuralism. And right below that, meanings are not fixed. And truth is not absolute. Meanings are not fixed and truth is not absolute. Before we end, a couple of things for you to understand. Because we're ending our discussion on this PAR aspect, I think I mentioned this medical definition of normal, right? That who is normal, who is not, defined by doctors. There is this idea of, school discipline, right? CCTVs, for example. The class has CCTV, isn't it? There. You are behaving under CCTV. Yes? Is somebody watching it constantly? No. But maybe. That's the whole point. There's a concept given by Jeremy Bentham. Have you called ethics, these people? Ethics? No. Actually, you have studied polity but not ethics, so possible. Jeremy Bentham, we'll cover that fellow later on at some point of time. Bentham gave a concept of panopticon. Panopticon. Have you heard of this word, panopticon? No? So a very interesting prison design. Prison all around with a central tower in between. That tower will have thick black glasses, which would mean that prisoners will always be under observation. Something like this, okay? Or like this. Prisoners all inside this central tower. Now there are guards inside the tower. You can't see what is inside. Are the guards sleeping inside? We don't know. Are the guards watching us? We don't know. But we assume that guards might be watching us. We change our behavior. We control our behavior. That's an example of power. Power exists everywhere, and this is how we control power. Or we control people. And that is the beauty of it. Dress code, as I said. What is the... You must have heard of this term. Dress professionally. What is that? What is dress professionally? I mean, if I come wearing shorts, he will be like, oh, this fellow is not serious at all. Really? I mean, will wearing shorts have any change in my teaching ability? Will I suddenly become a great teacher? Of course not. Or a bad teacher. I'll be the same teacher. Will you become a better student or a bad student? But it creates a sense of indiscipline in your mind also. Yes or no? You will not take that person seriously. Why? You have been designed to think like that. Yes or no? Lot of views you hold are because you have been designed to hold those views. So when you say this is my viewpoint, is it really your viewpoint? Or has the society made you think like that? Right? How much of you is the original you, and how much of you is what society has made you? That's the big question. So let's end on this point only. And that's, I think, the beauty of power. Power will never work when it is forced upon you. The best way for power to work is when you start policing yourself. Camera might be watching you. That's it. On the signals, now we have the cameras. What if they click a photograph and the challan comes to your house then? So I follow traffic rules. Just because I don't know, I can't take the risk. That's the best form of power, where nobody is forcing you. The police constable does not run towards you and snatches the key from your bike, but you regulate yourself. Right? That's the idea of power. Anyway, let's end this class here. We had to stretch a bit. We'll meet tomorrow at 5:30, not 6, just to clarify, because next week we'll have the class from 5:30 to 8. First week, only 1.5 hours of stress. Next week, 2.5 hours of stress. That will be a regular class. So other batches here run for only 2 hours per day. PSIR runs for 2.5 hours per day. Okay. So that's all for me. Let's meet tomorrow. Jai Hind.